Hello everyone, my name is Ziamaro and welcome to Battlerite Sage. So, I've been really happy to see a lot of meta talk in the community recently. For quite a while the general rhetoric has been that everything is balanced. The game is relatively well balanced, don't get me wrong, but let's not kid ourselves. Some champions are just plain stronger than others. And examining the pick rates for certain champions has been really eye-opening for the community. I would say that Stunlock are better than most at identifying problems and fixing them, but I don't think there's a development team on the planet who can achieve perfect balance. I like to think of it a bit like fixing the intonation on a guitar. You can tune an open string perfectly, but if the intonation isn't right, then as you go up the fretboard, the notes get more and more flat or sharp. You can make adjustments to the guitar to make the intonation better, but it's mechanically impossible to get it absolutely perfect. As you go up the frets, there will always be some notes that are just slightly out. You can fix one fret to be perfect, but something else will get thrown slightly out. And I think game balance is kind of the same. You can get so close to perfection that most people wouldn't notice the difference, but absolute perfect balance is close to impossible. So, what exactly does meta mean? Metagaming is using out-of-game information to inform in-game decisions. For example, if you're playing a tournament and you know the enemy team has a Taya one trick, you could pick champions that can trade favourably with a Taya. Or if you're in a tournament where you can ban picks, you might even just ban her. Yes, I know there are no bans for most of us, but there have been tournaments with bans. So in that example, there's no in-game indication of what someone might play, but you're applying out-of-game knowledge to make a better decision in-game. So that's the technical meaning of meta, but that's not usually what someone means when they say meta. What most people mean is common picks, and more specifically, common pro-level picks. So right now, the pro meta is Paloma, Thorn, and Destiny. And then you chuck in a bit of Ashka and Jamong, and you've got the current tournament meta. I know that's a huge oversimplification and loads of other champions get picked, but those are the most common ones right now. So, how does the meta work? Well, the psychology behind metagaming is sometimes shrouded in mystery. Sometimes a character might be meta because it's too strong. Paloma is the obvious one right now, she is too strong. But aside from the obvious imbalance, quite often the meta is just formed by people's perception. If the general consensus is that a character is strong, then people will play it. And if it's generally considered that a character is weak, they won't see much play. So you might look at Alicia, Rukan and Iva's low pick rates in Battlerite and think, well, they probably need a buff. And maybe they do, but it could equally be a matter of perception. Let me give you a few examples. I remember when Ana was first introduced in Overwatch. You would get flamed to hell and back for picking her. Everyone said she was weak and too hard to get any value out of, so Blizzard buffed her. And people still thought she was weak, so they buffed her again. And even the pros weren't playing her. Then something clicked. Suddenly people realized just how absurd Ana's healing power was. Yes, she was hard to play, but when you played her well, her healing output was unmatched by anything else. This allowed her to keep 3 or even 4 tanks alive. So suddenly Overwatch was thrown into the dreaded tank meta. So knowing how things panned out now, maybe she was balanced on release. But because people perceived her to be weak, she received a bunch of buffs that she may not have needed. And then she ended up receiving a bunch of nerfs later on because she, along with a few other heroes, enabled this really boring meta. Secondly, let's have a look at Super Smash Bros. Melee. If you're someone who's interested in metagaming and balance, you've probably seen or heard about this a million times before. But it's something that's really interesting to look at. This is a chart of character rankings over the years. Some of the characters' rankings have stayed fairly stable, but others have fluctuated wildly. Most notably, Mario and Link started out at number 5 and 6 in 2002 and fell all the way to 14 and 19 respectively by 2013. Kirby is another interesting one. They went from number 22 in the rankings all the way up to number 3 at one point. So you're probably thinking, well, they got some big buffs or nerfs, right? Well, what if I told you there wasn't a single balance change in that time? The ranking changes were entirely down to player perception. And in the case of some characters, it was because of certain players popularizing a different playstyle. The point is, sometimes a character's strengths or weaknesses are entirely down to player perception. Sometimes it just takes an innovative player or team to totally shake up the meta. So how does this all apply to Battlerite? I think it's really great that Stunlock takes such a light touch to balance compared to other developers. It would be easy to look at Iva, Rukan and Alicia and buff them purely based on pick rates. But what if we just haven't seen the full potential of these champions yet? Once the obvious stuff gets addressed, Paloma, we might see some other champs get some more room to breathe. And then when you look at some other champions that have fairly high pick rates like Thorn and Destiny, they have received nerfs, but only small ones. I think it's good to let the meta settle a little bit before making rash decisions when it comes to balance. When you see long-term patterns, then it's time to make changes. But we can't be so arrogant as a community to think that every champion has been mastered already. The game has a notoriously high skill cap, and from an optimistic standpoint, you would hope that there's still stuff to learn and improve on, even for the top players. If every champion has already been mastered and every comp has already been explored, then there would be no hope for this game as an esport. But I don't think that's the case. I think this game has a lot more to offer than what we've seen so far, and I'm really excited to see how the meta progresses. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please feel free to subscribe for more Battlerite guides, news and discussion. And don't forget to check us out on twitch.tv/BattleriteSage. Until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.